So here is our map of the underworld. 1. The inner throne. 2. The first guardian, fear. 3. The second guardian, guilt. 4. The third guardian, shame. And finally, 5. The awakened self.
All right, let's kick things off with part 1, the inner throne, the seat of the self.
Before we can go down into the depths, we kind of need to establish exactly who is doing the descending. Look, you are not your emotions. You aren't your intrusive thoughts either. You are the observer, sitting at the very center of your consciousness. In this framework, this observer is called the self, which is represented by key 7, or the throne. The self is the present moment chooser who governs everything from the center. To truly master your reality and take this throne, you can't just stay on the surface. You have to intentionally step down and meet the 3 ancient guards who have essentially been running the show in your absence.
Moving right along to part 2, the first guardian, fear. Let's start our descent and see how this builds. We arrive at the very first gate. This gate stands exactly between your conscious choice and the vast, deep waters of your feelings, and fear is the sentry here. Think about it. When you were young, your nervous system learned that feeling too much might lead to abandonment or overwhelm, so fear took his post. He guards your sensitivity, your power, and the deep truth of who you are. He speaks through the hijacked mind, always projecting into the future. He'll say things like, "What if everything goes wrong?" You know, like when you stare at a simple email for 20 minutes, absolutely paralyzed. Or he'll say, "You should really wait until you're more prepared." His entire job is just to prevent you from going too deep and getting hurt again.
So how exactly do you relieve him? Well, you master fear by realizing that fighting him only proves his point that the territory is dangerous. So instead, first, you name him. Second, you honor him. You thank him for keeping you alive in an insensitive world. Third, you allow yourself to feel the deeper grief or longing that's buried right beneath that tightening sensation in your chest. And fourth, you bring your adult self to the gate. You tell fear directly, "Hey, I am not leaving you behind. You're coming with me, but you are no longer leading." And when you do this, it is a total game changer. Once relieved at the throne, that heavy shadow of avoidance and numbness brilliantly transforms into the sacred gift of discernment, vigilance, and sacred caution. Fear stops being a paralyzing wall and actually becomes an incredibly useful radar.
Which brings us deeper to part 3, the second guardian, guilt. As we move deeper, we hit the second gate. Now, if fear guarded feeling, guilt guards conscious choosing. She is essentially the old contract keeper. She guards your primal need for belonging and your existential innocence, meaning your basic right to want what you want without having to earn it through suffering. Guilt acts as an enforcer. As a kid, you learned that your belonging depended on carrying what your family or tribe couldn't carry. So guilt demands that you continually betray yourself in order to maintain those old tribal loyalties and avoid being cast out.
And you really need to listen to how she speaks to you. Guilt operates entirely in the language of debt. It's like a courtroom. She'll tell you you owe them, or look how they're going to feel if you choose that path. Unlike true conscience, which cleanses you and respects the present moment, guardian guilt corrodes. It constantly loops you into past debts just to demand your self-abandonment. To master guilt, you actually don't obey her just to make her go away. First, you name her. Then you track down that invisible ancient contract of loyalty. You speak it out loud. And then, as the adult self seated at the throne, you write a new contract. You warmly remind yourself that you are absolutely allowed to belong to yourself. Choosing your own path does not mean you're doing something wrong. Honestly, it usually just means you're doing something new.
And just like with fear, relieving guilt allows for a massive transformation. That agonizing shadow of self-betrayal and paralysis shifts into this highly evolved, sacred responsibility and true commitment. You stop acting out of debt, and you start acting out of genuine loyalty.
Now we descend to part 4, the third guardian, shame.
We have made it to the innermost gate. This one stands right between you and your ultimate belonging to yourself. It is the deepest threshold by far. Shame is the guardian that essentially hides your authentic self and your direct connection to Source. Why? Well, because at some point when you were fully open and vulnerable, the world rejected your being. To protect your pure divine spark from a world that ridiculed it, shame locked it away in a tower. Your inner child reasoned, if I'm fundamentally flawed, then I can fix it. It is just safer to hide.
Now I want you to notice a really profound difference here. While guilt tells you that you did something wrong, shame attacks your actual identity. It tells you that you are wrong. It speaks strictly in I am statements. I am broken. I am unlovable. I am too much. I am not enough.
Here is the thing about shame. You literally cannot argue with it using logic. It has to be healed through relationship. You transcend it by first naming it completely without judgment. Second, you stay present in your physical body. You allow that original moment of rejection to finally be felt. And you actively reparent yourself with warm presence. You declare from the throne, you belong here. Even this part belongs. And this leads to probably the most powerful transformation of all. When you belong to yourself so completely that your inner child doesn't have to hide for safety anymore, that shadow of disappearing just dissolves. Shame is relieved, and it transforms into deep honor, reverence, and sacred innocence.
And this brilliantly illustrates our entire journey through the underworld. To quickly recap, fear guards the gate of feeling using future projection, turning avoidance into sacred caution. Guilt guards choosing using the language of debt, transforming self-betrayal into sacred responsibility. And shame guards your very being using attacks on your identity, ultimately transforming the need to hide into sacred innocence. It really is a complete map of internal liberation.
This brings us up for air to part 5, the awakened self. So here we are in the final act. We have brought our awareness all the way back up from the depths, and we are sitting firmly in the present moment back at the throne. When these guardians are relieved, you step out of the sleeping self and into the awake self. You are completely unplugged from automatic reactivity. You feel a peace that isn't tied to external circumstances at all, simply because you're released from the heavy loops of the past and the expectations of the future. This naturally transforms your external relationships. Your communication becomes incredibly clear, authentic, and empathetic. And because you are no longer fighting invisible wars inside, you become the intentional designer of your own reality.
You've audited your foundation, you've embraced your inner protectors, and you have totally reclaimed your energy. So I want to leave you with this final provocative thought. Now that the ancient guards are relieved of their exhausting posts, what new, incredible reality are you going to intentionally design from the throne? Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I really hope this gives you the tools to finally stop fighting yourself and start building.